Hi everybody from TechnoLost and welcome to this second half of the multimedia focus on this LG G2. I remind you that this is the Korean version, first of all, so this version F320K, and I would like to thank my dear friend Richard for lending me this LG G2 for this test. So in the second part we will see the quality of this LG G2 for concerned video recording, video playback, audio playback, and even the interesting Q remote functionality. Before starting analyzing the video quality, just let me show you a few things about the video. Well, first of all, I want to address something. I've been not too precise about the tracking zoom functionality of this device, so let me show you a little bit better what does tracking zoom mean. Yes, as I told you in the first part, of course we can zoom a certain part of the screen like this. Just let me show you. If we select a subject here, we can, for instance, select this part, so we can zoom this part. But what is really more interesting, if we keep pressing on the lens, we activate the tracking, which means that even if we move, the lens continue following the subject that we wanted to zoom in, at least until this subject is inside the screen itself. If we go, up or down, the lens continue tracking the same place. But if we get that things completely out of sight like this, we lose, of course, the right position, as you may imagine. But nevertheless, this is a very interesting functionality of this LG G2 for what concerns, of course, tracking zoom. So this was a little clarification about the tracking zoom itself. This is the camera you have for what concerns the video. I already showed you in the first part. When we select settings here, we have the audio zoom, which is the possibility I already told you to address the amplifying sound in a certain direction. We have the sides here. We have 1080p 60 frames per second, 1080p 30 frames per second, 720p, and this is really strange. We have 1080p 60 frames per second. Why not having at least 60 frames per second even on the 720p? Don't know. We have the MMS sides 24p and 144p. We have brightness, white balance, color effect, geotagging, volume key storage. Nothing really too strange here. So let's give a look to the video quality captured by this LG G2. Oops, sorry, I was looking for software button, soft touch button I wouldn't have here, of course, because we have software button here. So let's give a look to the video captured by this LG G2. Let's start with the 1080p 60 frames per second. Let's pull down the volume a little bit. This is the 1080p 60 frames per second. Hope you can see it's quite fluid, but that's a strange behavior. In a very regular interval, we have a small stutter, like if the device was buffering on RAM and then writing down into flash memory, and in the same very second we have a small stutter. This is very strange because most of the time it's extremely fluid at this 60 frames per second, but sometimes we have a small stutter. Hope that LG will solve this problem, otherwise this 60 frame would be really perfect. We have very good details capturing here, so many details, and that's really a good 1080p 60 frames per second. Then we have the 1080p 30 frames per second, which seems to be even a little bit better than the 60 frames per second. This is very strange, and it's probably due to the fact that we have here the I don't know, that seems to have less stuttering than the 60 frames per second. I don't know if maybe it's due to the lower bit rate, but there are less stuttering. It's more it's more fluid in along all the duration, sorry I couldn't find the word, along all the duration of the video in respect of the 60 frames per second. Then we have the 720p 30 frames per second. Okay, not bad, even this one, quite fluid. There's even, you know, a good amount of details captured. Of course, we have even more detail captured into the 1080p. What is really interesting is that in every video I made with this LG G2, as you can see, there's no vibration, nor, you know, moving. It's very static, and this is thanks to the optical image stabilizer. This is one of the plus given by the optical image stabilizer of this device. Then we have the dual recording video. This is my ugly face, sorry guys. When you start dual recording video, automatically you cannot record it but in 720p. I do remind you that you can find all these samples into my channel. And then we have the tracking zoom. This is the functionality that I told you before, when you can zoom a certain, you know, place of the scene that you select via a plus lens that I showed you before. So even this one, like the dual recording, cannot be recorded but in 720p. Okay, these are all the kind of video that you can perform with this device. One more thing, I've already talked to you about the fact that we can play, for instance, with the speed. But what is even interesting, just let me pause a little bit, that we can play with the audio zoom. This video was recording with the LG G2, and we didn't use the audio zoom feature while recording the video, and now we can use it after into the playback. We can select the place of the scene, left, front or right, and we can amplify the sound coming from left, front or right. Just let me show you.
You have a precise source of your
amplifying left,
sound. Then if you direct the audio zoom,
amplifying center,
you can really hear
amplifying the right part.
No, you know, it's nothing really dramatic, but there's some difference in amplifying.
Okay, as you can see, this is nothing really, you know, fantascientific, or, you know, this is not science fiction. This is just, you know, a funny feature for this LG G2, which does not change the game really, but it's interesting nevertheless. So this is all for what concerns the video we can record with this LG G2. Now let's talk a little bit about quality. The 720p 60 frames per second, so let me turn down the volume now a little bit. So the 60 frames per second is recording at 30.1 megabit per second bit rate, and the audio is recorded at 156 kilobit per second, 48 kilohertz stereo. So every video recording with the LG G2 has the same frequency, which is the 156 kilobit per second, 48 kilohertz stereo. So the 1080p 60 frames per second has an average frame rate of 58 frames per second. The 1080p recording at 30 frames per second, just let me show you this one, had a bit rate of 20.1 megabit per second, and the audio is always 156 kilobit per second, 48 kilohertz stereo. Then we have the 720p, which has a bit rate of 12.1 megabit per second, same audio quality. We have then the dual recording, it's always 720p, which has a bit rate of 12.1 again megabit per second, always 30 frames per second for what concerns frame rate. And then we have the tracking zoom with slightly less bit rate, 12.0 megabit per second, always 30 frames per second, always the same audio quality. So this is all for what concerns the video recorded by this LG G2. Now we can talk about the video playback of several, video file format, and this is really interesting. This LG G2 is capable of reproducing any kind of video file. I mean, I couldn't try MOV file, but you know, it was able to reproduce everything else I could throw it in. This is MKV file 720p, audio and video, no problem. Then we have the MKV file 1080p, audio and video, no problem. Then we have here, this is a DivX video. Okay, no problem. We have the XVID video. This is a 1080p XVID video, no problem. Oh, and this is more interesting. We have the Windows Media video file. This is a 480p, no problem in playback audio and video. This is the 720p Windows Media video file, audio and video, no problem. But what is really more interesting is that this is the 1080p Windows Media Video audio and file and audio and video, no problem. Sorry, very few phones can, you know, manage to reproduce flawlessly like this LG G2, the 1080p Windows Media Video. So very good video playback. And this is of course the MP4 file, which is quite common to reproduce on any Android device nowadays. But you know, for what concerns the other video file like Windows Media Video or MKV, very good reproduction playback, sorry, for this LG G2. So this is everything dealing with the video. We can even, while watching video, you know, perform a zoom of a certain area like this. Okay. We can, you know, track a subject while watching the video. It was like tracking zoom that we use for recording. So this is everything dealing with the video playback. Now we can talk about the audio playback of this device. And before, I want to show you something really, you know, really nice. Nothing particular, you know, useful, but nice indeed. These are a pair of headphones. If you plug in the headphones into this LG G2, you have this nice effect like this, like Jack entered the LG G2, and then you can select what kind of application you want to start, and even, you know, you can change the application from the dedicated button here. So let's start the music player like this, and again remove the jack. The audio playback from this LG G2 is very good. The speaker here is not too loud, to be honest, but it's even not too quiet. Quite good for reproducing music. Maybe it starts a little bit cracking if you pump up the volume to the maximum level while using it as, you know, for calls, for instance. This is the standard audio player. Nothing, you know, nothing too particular here. It's quite common, but nevertheless it's very well, you know, implemented. There's no problem. It's fluid. It has all the options you need. You even have the possibility to, you know, if you select the song here, to see the YouTube videos related to the song you're listening to, like this. But what is the most interesting things is the audio effect here. This pure sound used with the headphones is great. It's one of the best equalization that I could listen to in the recent smartphone. Maybe just the sorry, the Beats audio devices like the HTC One or even the Butterfly S could have, you know, something not too far from this equalization. Very good audio output for concerned headphones from this LG G2. One of the best I could try in the recent devices. So as you can see, we don't have any problem for the audio playback, but a very good audio output from the headphones. So the last things that remains to be seen is the Q remote functionality. We can as I've already showed you, activate the Q remote here from the notification bar if you selected the quick toggle, or even just activating your home Wi-Fi network if you selected to have automatically the widget when you select your home Wi-Fi network, like this. Let's give a look to the Q remote app. We can of course set up different remote for different rooms. What is interesting here is that we have TV, set-top box, audio, DVD, Blu-ray, air conditioning, and projector, and even universal remote. So you can see that we go a little bit further from the normal, let's say from the others, the other remote application like HTC, the one found into HTC One or Galaxy S4. Here we even have a universal remote. This is really interesting. When you select universal remote, you can really build your own remote. So you can decide which button to put into your remote. As you can see, we have several one, and then you can learn the frequency, the IR frequency from your remote with this LG G2. So this is really interesting because you can virtually reproduce any kind of IR remote with this LG G2. The only downside, if we can call it downside, of course, is the fact that with this Q remote app, as you can see, we don't have some kind of electronic guide like we had into the same application made for HTC One or Galaxy S4. So you don't have your favorite programs electronic guide here. You just have the Q remote app and nothing more. So this is more or less everything I wanted to tell you about the multimedia capability of this LG G2. Once more, thanks for watching and bye from TechnoLost.